Okay, let's try doing this. I'm trying to procrastinate on doing some wiring here, so to procrastinate, let's do a quick little video on this snowblower. This is the new 47 heavy duty snowblower for the 1025R with the European style front 3-point hitch and the A-frame setup. This isn't, we'll start off right off the bat. This is a highly expensive snowblower. I wouldn't recommend it for residential. I did 3 videos on my complaints with the yellow snowblower. I highly recommend to go read the comments on them videos. They're very informative. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. They're very informative, and they talk about the complaints where I was actually tweaking the hitch setup on that. That's my whole reason why I went with this heavy-duty snowblower. But I'm light commercial, getting to be more commercial snow removal than most of you guys out there. So most of you are just doing residential yards. That yellow snowblower might be fine, but for doing light commercial and now to the point where I'm actually getting into more commercial, it wouldn't handle it. It was tweaking the frame on it. It was just on an X700, an X500, that snowblower might work perfectly fine, but when you put it on a tractor like this, it just does not work. So, long story short, this isn't a new snowblower for John Deere. This is a snowblower that they've had on the market for a while. It just wasn't available for the 1025R. This does have a metal impeller, nice big auger. My only complaint is that I wish it actually had a serrated auger. Nice heavy duty skid shoes. You can see there's reinforcing on the sides. There's no cable system up in front. They actually put the cable system back here, as you can just barely see the cables right there. And here's where the cables hook in on the front. The hydraulic cylinder is actually tucked up underneath here where you can see the 2 hydraulic lines. But as I was saying, this isn't a new snowblower to John Deere. This has been out on the market for a couple years already, so the snowblower is proven. This snowblower has been used in commercial applications for years already. This is the snowblower off the front mowers, the commercial ones that you see cities and townships and highway departments running around with. This is the same snowblower that goes on them. The only difference is this black piece here that's bolted on with these 2 bolts on this side and 2 bolts on the other side, which is this bracket, which gives you this A-frame piece, which hooks into the front 3-point hitch. And we'll take a little talk about this front 3-point hitch. It's built heavy, and it's not built by John Deere. There's the, there's a glare on my screen, but where are we? There's the company that makes it. If you guys can read that, I can't read it on my phone. Yeah, right there. There you go. You can pause the video and read that. Sorry, but there's a horrible glare on my phone. This thing's built like a brick house. See how thick everything is? It's bolted on with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. And why is that one loose? Huh. Note to self, tighten that bolt up. And that's why you check equipment, boys and girls. Yeah. But the 3-point arms are a solid piece. They're beefy. I mean, you got the ball ends on here. This A-frame piece here hooks in. This is really simple to undo and unhook. There's a pin down here. You pull this pin out. You pull this pin out. It's got a storage slot right there. You drop your 3-point down and it unhooks off this lip here, and there's just a regular little A-frame piece that's on the front 3-point arms, so you can real quickly hook and unhook. You don't really lose any of the quick attach features. It's not like you're fighting with 3-point arms every single time. Let me get my pin back in here, and we'll go around to the other side. So as far as this front 3-point system, the hydraulic side of it, starting back here on the fittings, if you have that hydraulic or that front 3-point hitch up and you want it to stay up and you don't want it to drift back down, there is a valve. You shut that valve off and it can't come down. And if you follow the lines up, right here are my lines that go all the way up to my snowblower. I am probably gonna take these apart here and get some couplers and make a bracket to put them up here. But on this hydraulic cylinder for the front 3-point, this is what raises and lowers your front 3-point. This right here isn't a coupler, it's actually a flow valve. So you can adjust that and tighten that up or loosen that up to adjust the flow that that valve has. These side are tight. Okay. So that adjusts your flow and how fast your front 3-point coming out up and down. It's kind of like your draft control for your rear 3-point. That's pretty much it about the snowblower. I had a couple people ask me about the installation. It's not the worst installation to set this all up, but I'm highly mechanically inclined. I would not recommend it if you're not mechanically inclined. There are some things that could be better explained in that directions that I had to read through like 2 or 3 times to make sure it made sense to me. But yeah, and these front 3-point arms, there's a pin on this side, and I can pull this pin out then and take these front arms off. The only thing is with this guard on this front 3-point, or this front PTO, you cannot pull these arms out. So you have to take this guard off or drop the front 3-point, or front PTO to take the front 3-point arms off. If this guard wasn't on here, which is just bolted out with 4 bolts, you could easily remove this guard. You could put these arms in and out real simply and let your front PTO on. When you do put this front hitch on, it actually places your hooks for your mid-belly mower. Ugh, I cannot talk today. So you can, I've had that mower on with the front 3-point arms on without the PTO in place, because obviously you need the PTO for the deck. But you can let the front 3-point arms on and get on the mower deck. The other thing I should point out is my question I had when I put this on is I talked to the dealer about, and they couldn't really tell me because I was the first one to buy this snowblower setup, and they never installed one yet either, because I bought this in spring and they didn't install one. No one else had purchased one, and I chose to install it myself. Was, from the looks of it, this front brush guard does not work with this hitch. It can't, because you see this right here interferes with this pin. So you're asking yourself, how do I have my front brush guard on then? Well, I took a plasma torch and I torched the front brush guard so it fit on here. It probably weakens it a little bit, but it looks better with the front brush guard on. And it doesn't interfere with anything. I just torched out around that pin so it fit in there. There's that. But I'm gonna go back to working on my wiring on this thing here. Rewiring some of these rear lights. As you can see, my electrical mess here. I have wires down here. These are my turn signal wires that I tapped off from the rear turn signals that are actually going to go to these. This is a bunch of stuff that I was working on last year and never managed to get finished. But here's my electrical mess up here. I have the roof pulled off the cab, so it's easier access. I don't gotta drop this headliner out all the time. But last year when I did this, I just got to the point where I needed to get going. It was snowing. I spent, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks straight working on this, like a couple hours, 12 hours a day to get this cab ready for winter. And I just got to the point where it's good enough, it was functional. Now it's just kind of trying to tighten up the creature comforts, like some wiring that I left here that I never finished. I gotta make another support for this light bar I built last year that goes all the way around the cab. Ooh, we almost died when the seat tipped forward. Gotta get a 2-way radio in here. Yeah. So there'll be another mount here on this side I gotta build yet. But we can drop down here. This is all working good. My camera system, my phone holder. I do need to actually wire the heater up this year. I didn't actually wire. I actually got to plumb the heater in this year. I had it wired up. I just never plumbed it to the engine. So I actually got to do that this year. I got to drain the antifreeze and cut the lower radiator hose and put some fittings in there to plumb that heater in. So that heater is actually sitting right here. I never plumbed it in last year. I just kind of, yeah. So we'll get that taken care of. Yeah. But there's kind of my thoughts and opinions on this. If you want to see this thing in action come winter, and you want to be the first ones to see the video on it, you're going to want to find me on Instagram, because that's where you'll see the videos first. So my Instagram username is master.of.everything, and that's on Instagram. As soon as I start using this thing, there'll be clips in that posted up there, but once, it'll be a few weeks later, then I'll start posting videos on YouTube of this thing in action. The other thing I do need to get for it is an electric actuator for the chute. But once we get it in some snow, we'll do a full review on it. But for now, this is just kind of a quick and dirty single take little video to throw up on YouTube. So if you like this, click the thumbs up button. If you want to see this thing in action, click that red subscribe button down there. And if you want to be more up to date and see what's going on currently and not be so far off, be sure to follow me on Instagram. See ya.